Oke, live-nya baru nih. Karena tadi accidentally stop. Itu live-nya di grup. Paling nanti bisa saya share ke ini aja. Share to. Tapi grup kita kan open ya, jadi bisa di-share ke timeline masing-masing. Kita showing video dulu kah seperti biasa atau enggak? Video yang biasa Bu Uri play itu.
Sepertinya saya lupa naruh di mana.
Saya nggak siapin soalnya.
Oh, udah langsung aja, nggak usah kalau
Itu
gitu.
ya.
Ya.
Oke.
Teacher Fajar, settingan di Facebook-nya bisa di-share kah?
Iya,
Yang
iya.
live-nya.
Bisa. Karena grup kita kan publik ya, jadi bisa di-share ke timeline masing-masing.
Oke.
Di Facebook-nya bisa.
Welcome, dear educators. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to our respectful IELTA members and also fellow educators. We are about to start, so for the time being, unfortunately, we disable participants' ability to unmute, so let's interact through our Zoom chat. Okay, so, and also kindly mute your microphone until the sessions of question and answer. Okay, we are also live on Facebook. Let's say if you have any fellow educators, colleagues, or friends who want to watch us but unfortunately cannot join us on Zoom, they can access our live on our Facebook group of IELTA Indonesia. Okay, so we are about to start in a minute while waiting for the other fellow educators to join us. Okay, kindly interact with us in the Zoom chat, and later on in the Q&A or question and answer sessions and also discussion session, you will have the opportunity to unmute and also speak up and also share about your experience related to our topic today. So for the time being, kindly prepare your coffee, maybe sit back, have a comfortable position to enjoy our discussion of the day. Okay, and thank you, Dr. Mansur Ali Darazi. Thanks for coming. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so So it's 15. Okay, and our fellow educators are coming. I'll just make the room open. Okay, in case more educators are trying to enter the Zoom meeting. Okay, kindly interact with us in the chat, dear fellow educators. Tell where you are from, where you teach, and of course, we love to hear your, let's say, enthusiasm for our session today. Yes, so this is our third webinar from IELTA Indonesia, and this is our first international webinar, is it? Teacher Uri, that is supported directly by the main IELTA. So we are really looking forward to our great resourceful speaker that also will deliver the absolutely relevant topic to our time right now, which is Merdeka Belajar. And we also love to hear thoughts and also insights from educators around the world related to our relevant topic of Merdeka Belajar, which means, or translated to English, the freedom of learning, which is our Ministry of Education innovation to our new curriculum in Indonesia. Okay, wait. Okay, we'll wait for another 3 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Pitoyo Meyono. Nice to see you. It's really lovely to see you every time in our sessions. Hope we can gain more insights and also nice discussion in our session today. And we also love to hear your thoughts and insights regarding the topic today. Okay, let's say we'll start at 8:05. Okay, I think we can just start. So, okay, once again, thank you everyone. Thank you for coming. Welcome to our third webinar of IELTA Indonesia, supported directly by the IELTA International. So this is our international webinar. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our fellow educators. Let's say mainly to our fellow educators from Indonesia, and of course to the respectful guests from around the world. So let's say today or tonight, we have a very resourceful and insightful resource speaker. Mbak Pipit Andriani will deliver a topic that really timely, relevant, and also contextual, actual to our newly curriculum innovated by the Ministry of Education Indonesia. And we will really love to hear insights and thoughts from educators from other countries around the world related to our topic today. But of course, to open our session today, to open our webinar today, we're going to hear opening statement from our IELTA Indonesia Ambassador, Teacher Uripa. So Teacher Uripa, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Teacher Fajar, and also participants and core member of IELTA Indonesia. First of all, I would like to congratulate to all core members IELTA Indonesia, which make this webinar comes true, because previously we just planned. But today's it's like, yeah, the planning is running well. And thank you so much for Mbak Pipit for accepting our invitation. It's, even though it's not like we have an official invitation, but yeah, thank you so much for coming, and also we'll give insight to our participants later on. And thank you so much for coming, fellow educators from all over the world. There's Teacher Rosie from Vietnam, Teacher Hola, and the teacher from Indonesia, and also from Malaysia, and Dr. Mansur. Yeah, I cannot mention one by one. And thank you so much for everyone for supporting our webinar today. Back to you, Teacher Fajar.
Okay, thank you very much, Teacher Uripa. All right, so once again, I would like to let everyone knows that you can interact with us through the Zoom chat. So kindly tell where you're from, and then where you teach, and also your thoughts and opinions on our discussion today. And in the end of the session, we will also have discussion session, question and answer session, so everyone can unmute their microphone, speak up, and have an open discussion. So let's cut to the case. So here I will introduce our great resourceful speaker, Mbak Pipit Andriani. So Mbak Pipit Andriani has been teaching in international schools since 2009 in cities such as Den Haag, Medan, and now in Surabaya. Apart from teaching in class, she coaches for debate tournaments, World Scholars Cup, Global Issues Network, and Model United Nations, among which her students won first place in countries such as China, Korea, and USA. It's really amazing. I'm amazed myself while reading the description. Okay, and as a teacher, Mbak Pipit tries to figure the differences he can make. Thus, he started an environmental education platform on Instagram and YouTube called Lingkungan Q. Okay, so we will also put the YouTube and the Instagram channel in the Zoom chat to create a wave for environmental awareness in Indonesia, and of course, expandable around the world. So let's welcome Mbak Pipit Andriani. The floor is yours.
So much, Teacher Fajar. I heard everyone called each other teacher at the beginning. I'm so happy to be here, and I cannot imagine this is Saturday night. Most people don't want to talk about work and their job, right? But you are here. Evidently, you want to be the best version of your teacher self, and I congratulate you on that. And also, I'm proud to be a fellow teacher like you, and I congratulate your students, because apparently you also a type of teacher who do not stop learning, and that's actually probably rare in this world. Okay, so I would like to share a screen, but before I start, sorry if the session will be punctuated with a little bit of cough or sneezing, because now it's changing season in Indonesia. So, and my body immune system has been acting up lately. So if somehow it will be punctuated with some cough, I apologize up front. Right, so today I have a privilege to talk about the Merdeka curriculum, the Merdeka Belajar curriculum, I'm sorry, but specifically about how to implement peer learning in the Merdeka Belajar curriculum. In the Merdeka Belajar curriculum scheme. Okay. And let's start with, actually, Teacher Fajar mentioned earlier. I just put it on the slide. Sorry, it sounds like a repetition. So I started teaching in 2009 in International School of The Hague, but also we have an Indonesian school there in Netherlands. So it's called Sekolah Indonesia Netherlands. And then I moved back to Indonesia in 2011, and Medan is the third biggest city in Indonesia. I worked at Medan International School, and now I settled in Surabaya Intercultural School. If you notice, the name changed because in 2015, we're not allowed to use the word international anymore in school, in the naming of school. So now it's called in Surabaya Intercultural School. But previously it was known as Surabaya International School. And my hobby is coaching for debate tournaments, scientific writing competitions, World Scholars Cup, and Model United Nations. And I have coached competitions. It's hard to mention this, but we went to tournaments in Shanghai, Hawaii 2 times, Sydney, Seoul, Beijing, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. And also we won a couple times too. And actually my students who went to these competitions, not all of them Indonesians, but the winners happen to be from Indonesia. So yay, always cheer up for that. So for example, here in the photo, we were the winner in Shanghai debate open debate competition. And so we were invited at the Consulate of Indonesia in Shanghai because they heard about us. And also I got several teacher trainings, and it's a bit awkward for me to say this because I know the privilege of teaching in international school. So I was afforded with the teacher trainings in East Asia, particularly. All right, so, and then I have these 2 Instagram accounts. The first one is private, pp.phoenix, and the other one is Lingkunganku. Lingkunganku is actually, it was motivated by my students because I asked my students to create a platform for their advocacy. My students usually go to universities in United States or UK. So to be able to be accepted, they have to create some type of advocacy. So not just learning in this class, but they have to show what they stand for and what they stand against. Because I challenged them to do it, they actually challenged me back. How about you, miss? So yes, I required my students to create an advocacy platform. That's why I also create one myself called Lingkunganku to raise awareness about environmental issues in Indonesia. And actually, one of my teacher trainings actually happened in UWCC, we call it, United World College, Southeast Asia in Singapore. It's actually Mr. Nadiem Makarim's alma mater in high school in Singapore. And actually when he went there to visit, I was there too. And I found out that actually he was almost expelled by the school. Can you imagine? When he was in grade 11, he actually talked to us. He shared a story about he actually almost got expelled by the school because he started a riot in his dorm. But his teachers made a petition not to expel him. So he was actually saved by the teachers. So he didn't get expelled. And also his favorite subjects was art and drama, not ICT or technology, something like that. Right? But it's very interesting to see him that time. And then, and then start with my personal anguish. My personal anguish as a teacher in international school has been resolved because of the introduction of the Merdeka Belajar curriculum in Indonesia. So Merdeka Belajar, to be simply put, is called freedom to learn, actually. It's freedom to learn. But freedom to learn about what? Specifically, we will talk about it a bit later. And as time goes on, we always see curriculums come and go, right? And even there's a stigma in Indonesia, whenever there's a new minister is introduced, then we will change the curriculum based on what the minister wants, right? But however, I think this current curriculum, Merdeka Belajar, is different compared to the previous curriculums we have seen over the years, because this curriculum, I can tell, is actually modeled after an international curriculum, namely, especially IB curriculum, so International Baccalaureate. It also happened to be the curriculum that Mr. Nadiem Makarim's high school adopt. So I don't know how much coincidence at play here, but actually the Merdeka Belajar curriculum is very similar to international curriculum that I have known so far, especially the IB curriculum. So for me, as a teacher in international school, I can resolve the conflict here between the national curriculum and international curriculum because I have to teach both of them in my class. And essentially, if you want to know about the Merdeka Belajar curriculum, there's an app for it called Merdeka Mengajar, so you can download it. Only in Play Store, unfortunately. So if you use iPhone, you cannot do that. You can borrow someone's Play Store what is it called, other headphones, then you can download it. It's a lot of resources you can use to teach and also to convince your principals, maybe if you want to use this curriculum. But essentially, there are three things that I think characterize this curriculum. The first one is freedom to learn. Freedom to learn is for the students. So there's freedom to learn how they want to learn about something. So not just one particular resource to learn from. That's why peer learning here will be very important in Merdeka curriculum, because teacher will not only the sole source of learning. Sorry. So not only the only source of learning is not going to be teachers. Actually, peer learning is probably more effective this way. And then the next one is freedom to choose. Oh, sorry, the freedom to learn also talks about how they can show that they learn in a different style that suits their characteristic or their personality. For example, they can talk about a certain topic, like say the easiest way is talking about the mountains, right? One student can write an essay about mountains, the other can make a model of a mountain, the other one can create a booklet to promote tourism in a mountain, something like that. So each student has freedom to show how they learn a certain topic. That's actually one of the most important things. The second one is freedom to choose. Freedom to choose is actually given to students in high school. So now they can choose the subjects they want to learn. Of course, there are core subjects that every student has to take, but also there are some subjects that they can choose from. So for example, if they don't plan to be an engineer, they don't have to take physics, for example, but they can take English and math, because maybe some of the textbooks are going to be in English when they go to college. So they will take English and math and something. So they don't have to take chemistry, which is not related to that. So freedom to choose is actually modeled after international schools, also schools in developed countries. And also the last one is freedom to adopt. Now this is something revolutionary for me, because the government actually doesn't force all schools to adopt the Merdeka Belajar curriculum. So it really depends on your school. If you are ready or you want to do it, you are free to do it. That's why it comes to a certain length of extreme almost, right? So they actually promote a certain curriculum, but not requiring every school to adopt it. So it's really your decision. So that's freedom to adopt this curriculum. I suggest you to adopt this. So I know this is not an individual decision, because if you decide to adopt the Merdeka Belajar curriculum, actually the whole school has to adopt it. So if you happen to be not a principal, I think it takes some time and some effort to convince your principals and also the parents, who are also the stakeholders in this case. But although your school doesn't implement the Merdeka curriculum, in my opinion, you can also implement at least the principles of Merdeka Belajar curriculum in your teaching. And one of the examples of the principles of Merdeka Belajar curriculum is actually through peer learning. So what is peer learning? So actually peer learning is also called peer teaching, depending how we see it, right? So peer learning is learning from each other. So peer teaching means the teacher is also your fellow students, right? So actually it's the same thing. But based on this book, peer learning is an educational practice in which students interact with other students to attain educational goals. But in essence, with this setting, peers can learn with each other, learn from each other, and also learn from the other. So how does it translate in classroom setting? So the benefits of, So the benefits of peer learning, there are so many. Among others is, one, students are the main actors here, so they have active participation. Two, freedom to learn from different sources, including peers, not just teachers. Discover their talents and develop them. Build on their confidence. Learn to be responsible. Foster the bonds between students. Students are more motivated and also less work for teachers. Yay! Of course, we want less work, but it doesn't mean that we don't do our job. But actually, most of our work will be shifted to planning and assessing after the learning. So we will be more like a movie director and also an editor after that. So our students are the main actors and actresses here. We should not be the main actor in this movie, because the one who are learning actually the students. So we will be like the director who create the setup, and then they will do it, the students. And then after the process is done, we will be the one editing the outcome or guide them to reflect on their learning, something like that. Right, so of course, with the obvious benefits, why don't we do it more? Because there are challenges. The first one is parents don't like it. So I don't know how many of you experience this, but in my experience of teaching, sometimes parents do not like their kids to be the teachers, or their kids being taught by other kids, because it's your job as a teacher to teach. Why you ask my kids to teach, something like that, right? So they have a stigma that we don't do our job if we ask students to teach each other, right? So that there will be parents' resistance. Second, students don't want to do it, or they don't want to learn from each other, or it feels awkward if the teacher is actually a fellow student. Actually, it's not true, because according to the latest research from Michigan State University, peers more than teachers actually inspire students to learn more. Okay, so it's probably a bit hard to accept as a teacher, but this is actually evidently happening. So students feel more motivated to learn about something when the teachers actually their fellow students, compared to listening to their teachers. There are so many factors at play, maybe because when the words come from fellow friends, maybe it's more relatable than coming from a person of authority, like teachers, for example. So there must be a lot of different factors that are at play here, but let's just take it this way, okay? And then also, if there are resistance from the parents, we need just to explain to them the benefit, okay? We're still doing our job, but our job is mainly in the background in this case. Actually, their kids learn more by becoming the teacher of the class. My slide is very slow. Number 3, we don't trust students to teach, unfortunately. So of course, I assume a lot of us here are Indonesians, right? Sometimes if we go to college for 4 years, we go to KKN until the pucuk gunung sana, the top of the mountain doing KKN, get the teacher certificate, and then to teach is hard, when you allow these students to teach, they haven't even graduated high school. Why should they trust them, right? But actually this is wrong, because we will see later. And second one is, what if they teach wrong? What if they teach the wrong materials to fellow students? What should we do if that happens, right? Now, there's a dilemmatic thought experiment here. So I would like to share a Google form. Sorry, I should have be able to launch the poll, but it wasn't available. So if you can, please fill out this Google form in the chat box. So those who are in Facebook, I don't know, the host probably can help share about the form. But essentially, the questions are this. We have a dilemmatic situation here. Okay. Which one do you prefer? One, student gets the answer right, or get the right answer from his or her friends. Second situation is student gets the answer herself or himself, but it's wrong. Okay, so there are two situations. right answer or the correct answer, but from friends, not their own thinking. But the second situation is the product of their own thinking, but it's wrong. So which one do you prefer? Okay, let me see. Okay, so 66.7% said it's better students get the answer himself or herself, although it's wrong. Okay, so let me go back to the Teacher Fajar, can you see my presentation? Yes?
Yes, sure.
So actually 66% of you chose the second one. So it's okay, wrong answer, as long as this is the product of their own thinking, right? Actually, I agree with you. It's a tough situation, but it's better to get the answer yourself, although the outcome is wrong. Now let's translate that to teachers. What if my personal take on this. Okay, my personal take on this, it's easier to correct the wrong answers rather than to correct the wrong behaviors. That's why it's okay if students come up with the wrong answers, as long as this is the product of their own thinking, rather than getting the correct answers from their friends. Or I would say the teacher as well. So in my opinion, if a student is depending on their friends, and if they're depending on their teachers, actually, both of them are the same thing. Essentially, both of them show that they are being dependent on other people. So as a teacher, we should not give them the correct answer right away. Give them a chance to discover the answers themselves. And then if after we found out that is wrong, then we will have a strategy to make a correction. Okay. Teachers cannot create a situation where students rely on them all the time for the right answers. If we do that, we actually create dependent thinkers, not independent thinkers. That's why, in my opinion, this is the spirit of discovery learning. So they have to figure out things themselves. And then if they get the answers from you, that means they haven't learned anything. If they get the answers from their friends, that means they haven't learned anything. So we should not create a dependent learner this way, including dependent on teachers. All right, so when I learned to be a teacher the first time, I accidentally created dependent learners myself. Whenever I saw my students make a mistake, I have an instinct to correct them right away. Until I met a senior teacher when I was in Medan International School, and she has retired, but I cannot forget this experience. So we decided to do peer learning, right? We created this expert group where they teach each other about certain topic. We'll talk about expert group later. And then we, as both teachers that time, saw that one of the groups actually delivered wrong information. We knew instantly the information was wrong. Ngawur ini in bahasa I call it, right? But I looked at her, the other teacher, like, should we correct this group? Like, this is totally wrong, right? But she told me to just, it's okay, let them be. So what we should do, in my opinion, that time, as the way I learned it, whenever we see a student make a mistake, particularly when they teach other students, when we give them a chance, we have to hold ourselves. Like, we have to be patient. Okay, hold ourselves back. Do not make a correction right there and then. Okay. Now, we allow them to finish their presentation, but then we see them separately, maybe privately, just in group, and we try to trace where they actually got the information wrong, or where they actually got the conclusion wrong. Okay, and then we correct where they get wrong. So it's not correcting the information. For example, where did you get this information from? Oh, from a website. Can you show me the website? Again, then show the website. And then can you check the date, or maybe can you check whether it's a valid resource or not, things like that. And then they found out, oh, the date is actually outdated. It was from 12 years ago, something like that, right? So do you think it makes sense now when it comes from 12 years ago? And then probably not. And then try to find a comparison, something like that, so they can come up with the correct way to find the answer. And then actually realize, oh yeah, this was outdated. Sorry, miss. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong, but you need to reflect on how you went wrong and then report it back to your friends. So actually we ask them to present the part that actually they got wrong, apologize for their mistakes, and also learn how or explain how they got it wrong. So the moral of this strategy is it's okay to be wrong. We have to teach students to be okay to be wrong as long as we have the courage to admit it and be responsible and make the corrections in front of our friends, because we have to be responsible. We present a certain wrong information. We have to also be responsible to make the correction. But as a teacher, we should not make the correction right there and then, and do not give them a chance to actually correct the mistakes themselves. So this is what I learned from Medan International School that time. And this is important for peer learning, because if we ask students to teach fellow students, there will be mistakes. I guarantee you, there will be mistakes here and there. So there will be some urge from teachers to correct the mistakes right away. So we should hold ourselves back when that happens. And I hope you can also do the same. Try to give the students a chance to make the correction themselves and also be responsible for their own mistakes. Right, so there are, after coming with the philosophy of peer learning, how do we implement it in class? There are so many ways. For example, if there are students who already know how to play guitar, maybe their parents pay private musicians to teach them guitars, that's actually a good opportunity. Rather than the teachers teach the rest of the class how to play guitar, ask these students who have private lessons or learn it by themselves to teach in class. Or students who learn more advanced English, maybe more advanced English compared to their fellow students, right? Give them a chance to also share what they learn in other settings, like in their private lessons or in their other institutions, things like that. Or maybe one of their parents actually, like my students, for example, their parents, one of them German, the other is Indonesian. So my students learn a little bit of, teach a little bit of German to the rest of the class, something like that, right? Although it's only greetings, thank you, things like that. So it gives them confidence to talk about what they learned already from home, something like that. And more common is students are divided into expert groups. Now this is common. I see this many times in class. They're given a topic and then present the topic in class, right? And then teachers here also will do a certain job, which is provide the rubric, how to teach. So it's not going to be like, all right, so you teach about this part, this group teach about that part, that group teach about that part, and then you leave them be. Of course not. This is the role as a director comes to play. So actually you provide a rubric, how to teach your peers correctly with the correct strategy here in this case, right? You maybe create comprehensive PowerPoint presentation, or maybe you explain it with clarity, or give them the standards or how to do this job correctly or how to do this assignment correctly. As a teacher, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are so many rubrics out there. So you can just modify or get it from the internet, like the way I did it. I just got it from TIEE here. But this is just a simple rubric where you can modify yourself or create one yourself. And this can be a guide for your students if they become the expert group in the class, so they can teach other students about a certain topic. Also, expert jigsaw group. So this is same. as before, but in the presentation side, it's not done in front of the whole class. Actually, it's done in small groups. For example, there are groups of 5 talking about Pancasila, the first sila, the second sila, the third sila, or the principles of Indonesia, right? So after their the first sila group, the second sila group, the third sila group, something like that, right? So they decide in group how to teach about this certain sila or this certain principle, how to come up with the examples and what's the philosophy behind this principle, and maybe the examples of the consequence if you don't do it or if you do something, things like that. They have to come up with the same standards, how to explain it. After that, they spread out to other groups. And then each group, the second group, will consist of students from different groups, right? So they will talk to each other about what they talked about in the previous group. I know it sounds confusing when I talk about it, but I'm sure all of you know what it means, right? It's easier to be done than to be explained. So this is the jigsaw group. The next one, we can also we can talk about the same topic, but we explore them in different ways. For example, if you divide your class into, when your class talks about caves, for example, right? The biome or certain geography talks about caves, right? There's a group that is assigned to, who is assigned to write a booklet about caves. Doesn't have to be the thick book, but like information book. A book of information about caves. There's another group create a model of a cave. So students can actually learn about stalagmites, all of this through a model. And there are other groups who create a documentary about caves. So actually they have to go somewhere and shoot footage about caves. There's also another group probably play a performance using a cave as a setting. But all of this groups, small groups in class, essentially explore the topic about caves or one similar topic or one same topic, but they explore it in many different ways. Yeah, so this can also be peer learning. So they learn about caves through play, the other one learn about caves through essays, the other ones through the model, things like that. So this is also possible using peer learning this way. The next one is group reflection teaching. For example, in English class, we ask students to write an English composition. Right? And then as teacher, we underline the mistakes in the composition, but do not tell them what's the correct one. So just indicate this is wrong, this part is wrong, this part is wrong. Highlight or underline it, right? And then after that, we group our students based on the similar mistakes. For example, the similar grammatical mistakes, this group have similar grammatical mistake, that group have similar diction mistake, something like that. Group them in this, group them based on their mistakes. After that, ask them to discuss their mistakes together. Let them figure out with more than heads, right? But more than one head, so it's easier to discuss what could the mistakes be. Okay. Then hopefully they figure it out. If not, then you probably need to urge them or direct them a certain way. Right? So after they figure out, oh, probably the mistakes is because we keep using present tense to refer something in the past, which is supposed to be past tense, right? You get the same thing, you get the same thing. Oh, probably this is the one. So after that, ask them to present as a group about the mistakes that they made, because they are essentially making the same mistakes. So they reflect on the mistakes together and then report it to class. So every group have a certain focus on the mistakes they did or they made. So this is group reflecting teaching. So they teach each other about the reflection from learning and figuring out the mistakes themselves. The next one is students give advice to each other. So actually I did this the other day with my Indonesian study class. So in Indonesian studies class, we read Kartini book. Yeah, so it's out of darkness into light in English, but in Bahasa is habis gelap terbitlah terang, out of darkness into light. So in the 8th letter or surat ke-8, we read how Kartini wrote a letter to her friend and thanking her for giving her advice to achieve her dream, basically. And this advice was called tiga serangkai, so 3 advice together, right? So as students, rather than answering questions about the factual questions that can be found in the letter, actually, I put them in pairs. And then I asked them to tell each other about their biggest inspiration or their biggest dream. And for example, they dream to be a singer or maybe a famous chef, something like that, right? And then ask for advice to the partner. If possible, the partner is not their good friend, so totally out of their cliques, yeah. So they ask for their friends 3 advice. What should I do if I want to be a famous chef? Something. What should I do if I want to be the president? Something like that. So give them 3 advice. 1, 2, 3, and then this advice will be called tiga serangkai, just like the way Kartini called it. After that, I asked them to visualize the moment after achieving their dream. So actually, several of my students said they wanted to be the president. So yes, we have imaginary presidents, several of them in class the other day. So I asked them to imagine, okay, you have achieved your dream. You're now the president of Indonesia. You're now a famous singer. I want you to write a letter to your friend who gave you advice, those 3 advice, and thanking them for those advice. So it's essentially they write the same letter, just like Kartini wrote to her friend about their dream, the advice from their friend, and also thanking them for the advice. This is also peer learning because giving advice to other students actually makes you more mature than before. Then you realize, oh, actually it's quite hard to achieve something. It's not that easy. So it's also a reminder for themselves to be more engaged in learning or to seek more experience to achieve their dream. So this is also a practical example how we trust our students to also give advice to each other. Another example is senior students teach the juniors. Sometimes I see it the other way around as well. So, but the more common is you ask grade 6 to teach grade 4 about certain topic they have learned before. All right, because it's really important for all their students to do this so they can remember what they learned 2 years ago or 1 year ago. Okay, so because the best way to learn is by teaching. So it gives them a chance to remember what it was that time they learned that time. And also a more skilled student helping a less skilled student in the same class. Usually, in my experience, parents do not like this. Because if parents see their students are very talented, intelligent, things like that, they don't want the kids to share. And this is not the correct practice, right? So I usually convince parents that actually by teaching other students about what they did best or what they do best, it can consolidate their own skill. You know, the more you're able to explain complicated stuff in a simple way to students who don't understand, actually, the more expert you are. So it will refine your skills, something like that. So it's hard to convince parents, but I think it's worth doing. So in this illustration, I put adik class versus kakak class. There's supposed to be cooperation between them. Right? It's no longer a versus, but they can cooperate through peer learning. So I suggest you to talk to teachers from other level, class level, and then cooperate. So invite them in and to teach your students about what they learned a year or 2 years ago. The next example is cascading groups. So starting from the large group, you give them questions, usually yes or no, or which one you prefer. After that, make the class smaller, divide it into 2, give them another question, right? So why you do this, why you don't do that, After that, make them smaller a little bit until end up as a pair and then individual. So through this interaction from large groups, gradually become smaller and smaller, they have more chance to reflect on the questions earlier, right? And also the other way around, also from one person into pairs, from pairs into four people into 8, things like that. So successively with different questions, then they will share with larger and larger group. Usually for a group which is new class, they don't know each other, something like that, or they just move from elementary school to junior high school, for example, they don't know each other really well. They start with just one person, after that sharing with 2 people, after that sharing with 4 people, sharing with 8 people. So gradually they try to get to know each other, yeah, in steps. So they're not feeling stage fright, suddenly talking in front of class of 40 students. So gradually build their confidence with larger group. Next one is peer feedback scheme. So it's important to have students look at each other's work. Okay, so I know from my own students that sometimes they feel not motivated because the only person who see their work is just teacher. So they feel less motivated. So it's important to also display your students' work, or at least show their work to each other. Okay, and then also give feedback, because who knows, they actually can come up with a bright idea or even better feedback than the teachers. Okay, and also more importantly, in Indonesia or in a lot of other Asian countries, I would say, which is really hard for us to deliver our critics to other people, right? It's really important for our students to deliver their feedback. Like, I like your work, however, something like that. In community-centered society like Indonesia, it's really hard to tell the bad news that, something needs to be fixed, something like that. Even us, an adult, is hard. So we need to just teach students how to be comfortable in communicating feedback, and also in a diplomatic way. Yeah, we don't want to create the cycle of awkwardness in Indonesia when we see mistakes, but we don't make a correction, or we don't tell people if they make mistakes because of our awkwardness, right? So I think the next generation should be better than us. So if we give them a chance to give feedback to each other in a more diplomatic way, I think then we will be a better country as well in the future. And also, it teaches them how to be critical, right? Not only about their friends' work, but also can be about their own work. For example, if their friends' work actually better than their own, so they know, oh, I should have done it this way, or I should have spent more time on this one instead of that one, something like that. So I also give them time to be critical to other people, but also to themselves. Peer assessment, there are teachers who successfully do it. There are teachers who do not successfully do it. For example, I myself I'm not successful in doing peer assessment. So we need to be careful. For example, I know behind my back, my students usually have a pact with each other, or they have kesepakatan. Okay, you give me 10, yeah, I'll give you 10 also. Something like that. With obvious mistake, obvious flaws in the work, but they have some agreement to give each other A+ when it's a peer assessment. So sometimes students will be students in this kind of way. So I think for peer assessment, if you can be careful, you create a situation where students can be fair to each other in giving mark, then please do it. But if you think they're still learning to be that way, then use your professional judgment to do the assessment. Next one is students talk about their parents' job. This can be a sensitive issue, but you can also have your personal judgment about this, because there are class with students with really big gap in economy, for example, right? There are parents which is up there and then parents who are not doing well, for example. This can be a sensitive issue, but take this as just an idea. So ask students to interview parents about their job, how to do their work and the challenges and etc. And also group students based on their parents' similar line of work. For example, anak pedagang sama anak pedagang semua, people who usually trades with the people who usually trades, the students who have parents in trading business, or parents from the students who have parents who are farmers, something like that. So they can come up together with the topic of how to be a good farmer, how to be a good engineer, how to be a good teacher, even if they have their parents are teachers, and then present it in front of class. So they actually essentially learn from each other's parents that way. Also, students also learn from their own parents, which is really important to do. And yeah, this can be a good peer learning activity. Next one is reciprocal peer teaching. So as teachers, we give them questions, yeah. So the students can come up with their own questions, obviously. So pair them up or in small groups and then ask each other this question and then see if their answer is different or not. If so, for example, I asked Bu Urifa something and then she answered A, but my opinion is B. How come we have different answers? Yeah, we have to find out where we split, right? And then after that, after both of us actually don't know which one is the correct one, then we can ask teacher to clarify finally. But as teacher, you also give them direction how to find out the correct answers without actually telling them, okay? But only clarify when you're not sure about something. It's really better if the students can sort them out themselves. Yeah. Peer editing is also the same. So if you ask them to write a short composition, then give them a chance to edit each other's work. Yeah. And debate is also important. How come? Actually, if you ask students to debate against each other, they can learn from the arguments the other students make, right? Because students come up with certain arguments and they deliver their arguments, right? When they deliver their arguments, actually, indirectly, they teach other people about a certain topic. That's how our students learn from each other, is through debate, learning from each other's arguments. So there are challenges, of course, in peer learning. Working in groups can be distracting for students. Yeah, some students work better in silence, or if there are some introverts in your class, it might be challenging for them. But it's also good to put them out of their comfort zone. Yeah, because in real life they will not be all alone 24 hours a day. Right? So they need to learn how to function in larger groups. Also, students with sensory or behavioral challenges can be very challenging. Yeah, can disrupt the whole class. Students need to be explicitly taught how to self-regulate themselves. For example, they have disagreements, they also need to have the strategies to sort that out. And also, last but not least, is they have to be respectful to the feedback of their peers. Sometimes they shrug it off because we're both students. I don't care about your feedback. I only care about my teacher's feedback, something like that, right? So we need to strengthen the importance of peer learning, that actually feedback from your friends is as important as the feedback from your teacher. Okay, so in summary, teaching and learning from and interacting with peers is very useful in classroom, especially in the spirit of Merdeka Belajar principles. And then we have to admit sometimes students is better in explaining about something than teachers because they are the same age and more relatable than us. Yeah. And also peer interactions are important for learning. And also, but before we implement this strategy, we also know the challenges and make sure as teachers, we are prepared to face the challenges before implementing them. So our class will not be in chaos if we implement the peer teaching. Right, so I think I'm over time. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. What a resourceful and insightful presentations, Mbak Pipit. I cannot agree more when you say that teaching is one of the best way of learning. So it's learning, reflecting, and also refracting. I should say overwhelmed, positively overwhelmed by the experience and the presentation from Mbak Pipit Andriani here. And okay, so let's just open the question and answer and also discussion session. So let's say if you would like to give question, of course, but also we would like to share your context or let's say your thoughts on our discussion topic today, kindly raise your hand and we will unmute you. Or let's say you have a problem with your microphone or connection, you can also raise your questions in the Zoom chat.
I saw one question in the chat box.
Okay, sure. Yeah, oh yeah, from Dr. Mansur. Okay, I think I'll just read it out. Okay, thank you for the questions, Dr. Mansur Ali. So the question is, how quality feedback may be ensured in the class? Does feedback promote students' creativity and how?
Okay, well, actually, this question caught me off guard. Yes, actually, one of the challenges of peer learning is, of course, the students give feedback based on what they know, right? So it's different when an adult gives them feedback. But if we want to still provide quality feedback, we can give them the rubric of what to see in the presentation. For example, the rubric that says, imagine yourself a 6-year-old, would you understand that presentation? Something like that. So then students will listen to the presentation of their friends and pretending they're 6 years old. No, if I was 6 years old, I don't understand any of this. Okay, that means the presentation is not good enough or too wordy or maybe too complicated, something like that. So as teachers, we need to give them the correct prompt, how to give feedback, usually in the form of rubric. There are so many creative teachers out there who already put out their rubric for free. So I suggest you to search that out. Rubric.com is also a really good website where we can find many different rubric. So the way we assess students can be introduced to students as well. How to view whether a certain presentation is good or not, how to see a certain person is nervous or not, whether a certain person is, certain person is confident or not, things like that, right? So through these prompts, then we can expect quality feedback even from students. So I think that's our role as teacher to direct them to provide quality feedback.
Okay, once again. Let's say it's a really thoughtful answer. Yeah, so that's one of the role as a teacher nowadays, where we provide or facilitate somehow a little bit of a clue of the way instead of giving the full answer or giving, let's say, all the roadmap, but instead we try to facilitate them by giving a little bit of a clue and let them find their way out. And of course, we're going to need to facilitate them furthermore. Okay, we have more question from teacher Rossi from Vietnam. How do you apply peer learning to a big class, let's say massive students in the class?
Miss Huong Dang.
Yeah, teacher Rossi from Vietnam.
Teacher Huong Dang, can you share how many students you have in class?
Okay, Teacher Rossi, you may also speak out. It's all right. You can unmute. Oh, okay. No?
Oh, she can she?
Oh, okay. Wait.
Cannot?
You can unmute now, Teacher Rossi. You can unmute. Yes, that's okay.
Okay, all right, no problem. Right, let's say 50, right? Let's go to like a PS2. Actually, the bigger the class, the more suggested for you to use peer learning. Because in my opinion, it's impossible to engage 50 people at the same time. We're not Michael Jackson. Probably Michael Jackson cannot even engage 50 people at the same time when they're 15-year-olds or 16-year-olds, right? So I think peer learning is even more important. The bigger size your class is more important. So I actually will share the presentation later in the form of PDF. So please feel free to look through them. The examples I shared earlier is talking about cascading. So gradually make it smaller. So 50, class of 50 can talk about who in this class feel they have good lifestyle already. And then suddenly the class divided into yes or no, right? Good lifestyle, bad lifestyle. And then good, bad, and lifestyle. Who still want to, what is it? I don't know, give them more problem. It's hard to imagine now. But give them more questions that will divide them into smaller and smaller and smaller until small enough, for example, 5, group of 5, then give them different topic. So maybe this topic talk about protein. The other topic the other group talk about carbohydrate. The other group talk about calorie or something like that, whatever related to the topic, right? And after that, they can present to each other about those smaller topics. So it's really important to give them a chance this way, because it's also not only helping us as a teacher, but also help them to learn the content better. So yes, divide them into cascading smaller groups like that.
Okay.
The example.
So it's like making breakout rooms when it comes to online classes. Okay, we have a relatively quite long question here from teacher Dede Kurniawan. Okay, it seems that peer learning relate with multi-grade and multi-subject teaching and learning, especially in cascading group strategy. In your experience, Mbak Pipit, is there any study or literature like previous research between peer learning connected to multi-grade and subject teaching learning, or can we apply peer learning for it? I'm curious since Mr. Dede here experience teach in multi-grade or multi-level class and subject teaching learning like that.
Okay, wow. Actually, there are questions inside questions.
So it's branches. The question branches
out. All right. Yes. So if I can grasp, actually with the new Merdeka Belajar curriculum, I hope Pak Dede is from Indonesia, right?
Yes.
Indonesian name. So in Merdeka Belajar curriculum, one of the differences with the previous curriculum is they have multidisciplinary subject. So they don't have IPA, IPS anymore, for example, right? They have interdisciplinary, the combination of all sciences combined into one, and then things like that. So this new curriculum really motivates us to combine many different subjects to be integrated into one project, something like that. So if you have a tendency to teach multi-subject, actually that's you're very suitable to implement Merdeka Belajar in your class. Right? So it's very multi-subjects, also multi-grade. Also in Merdeka Belajar, we talk about projects. Right? They certain percent of their learnings actually comes from project. They have to solve a problem in their society. For example, if they don't have recycling system in their school just yet, they have to actually create it as a project. And that includes many different skills. So they have to learn about public speaking, teaching other students how to encourage them how to recycle. They also have to come up with a system and how many recycling materials they divide the trash cans into, right? So that probably need science, and then they need some bahasa skill or Indonesian language skill if they need to contact the local bank sampah, for example, the trash bank, or they need to communicate with the local pengepul or the local pickers who collect trash, things like that. So all of this requires interdisciplinary skills. And I think with peer learning, of course, with projects, teachers will not be the main actors. So the students have to teach each other how to do it. So you're the one who will contact the trash bank. I don't know how to do it. Okay, this is how, blah, blah, blah. Okay, oh, you're the one who will make 7 different trash cans. 7, what are they for? Oh, one is for glass bottles, the other one is for cans, the other one is for paper, things like that. So I think peer learning is a great opportunity, has a great opportunity to be implemented in Merdeka Belajar because the setting is directed in that way. Yeah, so project-based, it is multi-subject and also multi-grade at the same time. So I really hope it answered your question. I'm not sure it will be satisfactory though. So please feel free to expand on the questions if it's not answering it correctly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much once again, Mbak Pipit. Personally, I think it fulfill the whole main idea of from all the questions. And let's say when it comes to literature review, I believe when it comes to peer learning and especially when it comes to timely research, most journals have covered those things, especially open access journal in Indonesia. One of the website or let's say database that I could recommend is the doag.org when it comes to literature review or when it comes to research like that. So I also paste the link in the chat. Okay, so it's already 4 questions, 3 or 4 questions, I think, and it's I should say, unfortunately, we are running out of time. But before that, of course, we would like to thank you, IELTA departments. Here we have Cigu Nirmala. Cigu, thank you for coming. Okay, would you love to share your thoughts or a little bit of comments, Cigu Nirmala? I think, hello. Okay.
Okay.
I think Cigu Nirmala is.
And who is English studies?
We have English studies. We also have iPhone 13. Thank you for coming. And also for those fellow educators who are currently watching through our Facebook Live. Yeah, I saw we have Dr. Absin and also Dr. Neil watching us on Facebook Live. Thank you. And hopefully this can be one of further steps for IELTA Indonesia and IELTA International to spread more ideas and also insights, resources to fellow educators, especially English teachers. Okay, and once again, we really thank you, Mbak Pipit Andriani, for accepting our invitation and share such insightful and resourceful knowledge and experience here in our forum. And I think here comes to the phase where we express our sincere gratitude and million thanks to our resourceful speaker, Mbak Pipit Andriani. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Hope it's visible. So I would like to call teacher Wahyu Mei Susanti to let's say deliver this certificate to Mbak Pipit Andriani.
Okay, hello everyone, and thank you very much for Mbak Pipit for attending our great session, and you have presented a very, very fruitful presentation today. Thank you very much, and here is our gratitude to you, the certificate of recognition. In sincere acknowledgement for invaluable expertise and presentation on topic implementing peer learning in Merdeka Belajar curriculum in the third IELTA Indonesia webinar held virtually on 29 October 2022. Thank you very much, Mbak Pipit. You are great.
Thank you. I hope it was worth your time.
Yeah, it's extremely worth the time, and yeah. Yeah, we also hope it's worth the time for Mbak Pipit and Riani to share your experience with us. Okay, and also we would love to say our big thanks to one of our IELTA, let's say, IELTA educators from Malaysia, Cikgu Nirmala. Okay. The Chief of IELTA Learner Department. Okay, I would like to invite Bu Urifah to deliver the certificate.
Okay, thank you so much. International English Language Teachers Association Indonesia Certificate of Recognition. This certificate is awarded to Nirmala Devi Kandasamy as the Chief of IELTA Learner Department for attending as a guest of honor at the third 1-hour online live webinar entitled Implementing Peer Learning in Merdeka Belajar Curriculum, hosted by International English Language Teachers Association Indonesia, presented by educational expert and held via Zoom on 29 October 2022. We express our deepest gratitude to you. Please receive the certificate. Teacher Nirmala.
Thank you so much, Igorifa, for this wonderful certificate, and I would like to congratulate IELTA Indonesia and the entire team for having this webinar today in implementing peer learning in Merdeka Belajar curriculum. Congratulations also to our speaker. You have done a great job, and I will go through the recording and share with my teachers in Malaysia as well. Thank you so much, Teacher Urifa, Teacher Fajar, and all the entire team. Congratulations.
Okay. Once again, thank you very much, Cikgu, for attending our session. Okay, and here we also have.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness, should have done that. Okay, and we also have one certificate for our General Secretary, Dr. Absin Salahuddin. Maybe I would like once again to invite Bu Huri to deliver the certificate.
Okay, thank you so much. Certificate of recognition is this certificate is awarded to Dr. Absin Salahuddin, the General Secretary of IELTA, for attending as guest of honor at the third 1-hour online live webinar entitled Implementing Peer Learning in Merdeka Belajar Curriculum. Dr. Absin, really appreciate your time and your coming in the live Facebook, and hope you receive this certificate. Thank you so much.
Okay. And we also have Dr. Neil watching and participating in our session through the Facebook Live. Okay, as the IELTA director. Oh, sorry, this is for Dr. Glenn as the IELTA director academic department. Yeah. So hopefully, and thank you for attending as a guest of honor our third IELTA Indonesia webinar. Live on Zoom and also live on Facebook, entitled Implementing Peer Learning in Merdeka Belajar Curriculum. So once again, thank you to Dr. Glenn also for helping every IELTA events that we can hold such sessions. Yeah. Okay, and I also saw Dr. Neil as our president of IELTA International. So I would like to also express our big thanks to Dr. Neil. Yes, so Thank you very much, Dr. Neil Arifalo Alcantara, the IELTA International President, for attending and also participating in most of our sessions of IELTA Indonesia, and especially here as a guest of honor in our third one, our online live on Facebook and also on Zoom in the topic of implementing peer learning in Merdeka Belajar curriculum, hosted by IELTA Indonesia and also presented by an educational expert here, Mbak Pipit Andriani, on 29 October 2022. Yeah, we really thank you the dedication of Dr. Neil in making this organization continuingly happen. Okay, so and also for all participants, of course, you will receive your certificate, let's say in 2 days, because we are going to put the QR code in your certificate, where you can scan the QR code and you can rewatch or relive our session again on demand. So kindly fill in the form that I sent in the Zoom chat and also in our Facebook live comment, right? Because we will only we can only send your certificate if you fill in let's say the link or the form that I sent in the Zoom chat. So kindly make sure that you put your full name and also your email. And of course, we provide several questions that we hope can be feedback for our session. So the certificate will be provided through your email, and there will be a QR code that you can scan to relive our session on demand. So make sure that you fill in the form. Okay, thank you very much once again, Mbak Pipit Andriani, and also Bu Urifa, teacher Wahyu, teacher Winda, teacher Hola also, and teacher Nirmala once again, Dr. Mansur, and every educators, teacher Rossi, around the world from Indonesia, and also all over the world for attending our session. And I would like to remind all IELTA members and fellow educators, we also have another session tomorrow at 7 p.m. Jakarta time or 8 a.m. New York time of the IELTA International session. So stay in touch with the IELTA Facebook page and the IELTA Facebook group to be updated with our great sessions. Okay, I would like to give a closing statements to Bu Uri, say as the final say for our session.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending our third webinar. And thank you so much for Mbak Pipit. You're really great in explaining Merdeka Belajar curriculum. And yeah, everyone, as the teacher Fajar said, that tomorrow we'll have another session, and teacher Fajar will be the speaker, and of course get a lot of knowledge from him. Yeah, because he is an expert on like platform, yeah, resource in the teaching, learning, so many things that he will share. So don't miss it. And thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate your hard work to make it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bu Uri. Okay, so everyone, dear educators, also dear presenters, I think it's time to open everyone's camera so we can take a documentation together. So let's say if it's possible, let's say turn on your video and then we can take a screenshot in our Zoom. And also kindly remember to fill in the link that is in the Zoom chat. Okay, so I'll be waiting. I'm waiting for 30 seconds for everyone to turn on their camera, and then we can take a screenshot. Okay, thank you, Teacher Winda. Nice to see you. Dr. Mansur, also nice to see you again. Okay, and yeah, more teachers maybe. If no, it's okay. All right, so let's say I will take it. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Teacher Kalyani. Let's say 1, 2.
The director of Suchana project, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, let's say 1, 2, 3.
Okay, Dr. Kalyani, don't forget to copy the link on the chat box. It's a form that you will get the certificate and also QR code. Then you can link to the recorded webinar.
Thank you so much, Yuri ma'am. I'll do that.
Okay, great.
Okay, it's done. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so for those who have filled in the attendance, or let's say the survey form, you may leave the room and maybe you want to have a rest or maybe have another activity. I'll be waiting here for, let's say, another 3 minutes to keep on the Zoom and let's say to keep on the link in the chat. So once again, thank you, teachers. Thank you, Mbak Pipit Andriani. Have a good night. Have a good weekend also, and stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Everyone, see you next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Yeah. The participants, you may fill in the link and then leave the room to continue your activity.
Okay.
Your certificate will be delivered in 2 days with the QR code to rewatch the session on demand. So make sure you fill in your email and also your full name.
Okay, Sujan sir, please fill in the form so you can get the certificate and also the recorded of the session.
All right, thank you. Getting from Nepal. How are you?
We are good. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, I will fill up the documents. Okay, no
Great.
problem.
Yeah.
I'm watching from the page because I did not join here before